State of Tech, the European edition. I'm Samantha Lawrence.
And I'm Bob Russell. Today, Anthropic launches Project Glasswing, a massive defensive cybersecurity initiative backed by 12 major tech companies. Then, OpenAI tests a next-generation image model while Google unveils an autonomous coding agent. U.S. AI giants band together to fight Chinese intellectual property theft. Anthropic locks in gigawatts of computing power for its future AI models. Intel joins Elon Musk's Terafab AI chip project. And Cisco reveals that industrial AI adoption is running into serious network and security gaps. Let's start with the big one.
So this is genuinely one of the most significant cybersecurity announcements we've seen in years. Anthropic has launched something called Project Glasswing, and it's a collaboration with 12 major tech companies. We're talking AWS, Microsoft, Google, Apple, the heavyweights.
And here's what makes this so interesting. Their new AI model, Claude Mythos Preview, can find thousands of vulnerabilities across every major operating system and browser. Now, that sounds terrifying on the surface. An AI that can spot weaknesses everywhere? But instead of sitting on that capability or pretending it doesn't exist, Anthropic is flipping it around. They're using it defensively, finding and patching vulnerabilities before attackers get to them.
Which is a really smart move. Because if Anthropic can build something like this, you have to assume that bad actors are working on similar tools. So the question becomes, do you want the good guys to get there first?
And they're putting serious money behind it. $100 million in model credits, plus $4 million donated directly to open-source security organizations. More than 40 organizations will get access to scan critical software infrastructure. This isn't a press release with vague promises. This is funded, it's structured, and it's happening now.
The implications here are enormous. We've been talking for years about how AI could be weaponized in cyber attacks. This is the first time we're seeing a coordinated, industry-wide effort to use that same power for defense at this scale.
And the model behind it is genuinely novel. It doesn't just scan for known vulnerabilities. It reasons about code, understands context, and finds new weaknesses that traditional tools miss. That's a step change from anything we've had before.
Now, the European angle here. Europe has some of the most critical digital infrastructure in the world. Banking systems, energy grids, healthcare networks. If Project Glasswing delivers on its promise, European organizations need to be in the room.
The big question is access. 40 organizations are getting scanning capabilities initially. How many of those are European? And longer term, will European institutions be comfortable relying on a US-led consortium for their most sensitive security audits? This could actually strengthen the case for European sovereign AI security capabilities. But in the short term, this is overwhelmingly good news. More vulnerabilities found and patched means everyone is safer.
And it puts pressure on European policymakers, too. If you've got a $100 million program finding holes in software that European governments and companies rely on every day, you want to be part of that conversation, not watching from the sidelines.
All right, let's shift gears. Two big product moves today from the usual suspects. OpenAI is testing what they're calling Image Version 2 inside ChatGPT, a next-generation image model. And Google is piloting Jules V2, an autonomous coding agent.
Let's unpack the OpenAI one first. This new image model apparently understands user requests much better than what we have now. Cleaner outputs, more accurate images, and it's especially good at things like UI design. So if you're a designer mocking up app screens or website layouts, this could genuinely change your workflow.
And then there's Google's Jules V2, which is honestly the more interesting development to me. This isn't just a coding assistant that helps you write a function. It takes a larger development goal. Build this feature, refactor this module, and it autonomously strategizes, breaks the task down, and executes. It plans its own work.
That's the key distinction. We've moved past autocomplete for code. This is an agent that thinks about what needs to happen and then does it.
And the broader trend here matters. We're watching AI move from being a tool you direct to something that operates with genuine autonomy on complex tasks. That's a fundamental shift in how software gets built and how creative work gets done.
For European companies, this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, a small startup in Berlin or Lisbon now has access to coding agents that can do the work of a much larger team. That's incredibly democratizing. On the other hand, if you're not adopting these tools, your competitors will. European businesses in fashion, automotive, software, they need to be paying attention right now.
And European developers specifically should be testing these tools early. The productivity gains are real, and falling behind on adoption could widen the gap with US and Asian competitors.
Quick interruption. If you listen to The State of Tech regularly, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode. Okay, moving on. Here's something you don't see every day. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, fierce competitors, are now collaborating to fight Chinese intellectual property theft targeting their AI models.
They're working through something called the Frontier Model Forum, and the specific problem they're addressing is adversarial distillation. Basically, Chinese competitors are systematically extracting knowledge from these advanced models to replicate their capabilities. And American officials estimate this costs Silicon Valley billions every year.
Billions. And these aren't random hackers. These are well-funded operations that methodically probe models, extract their reasoning patterns, and use that to train competing systems. It's industrial-scale IP theft.
The Alliance is building tools to detect when this is happening and block it. Think of it as a shared immune system for their models. They're setting aside competitive differences because the threat is that serious.
This effectively formalizes something everyone knew was happening but nobody was addressing collectively. The AI race isn't just about who builds the best model. It's about who can protect what they've built.
And this is where Europe needs to wake up. Companies like Mistral, Aleph Alpha, and others building European AI models face the exact same risk. But they don't have the resources of Google or OpenAI to build sophisticated detection systems. Europe might need its own version of the Frontier Model Forum, or at least a seat at this one. Without that, European AI innovation is vulnerable to the same extraction tactics.
EU regulators could also step in here. There's a legislative angle. Stronger IP protections specifically designed for AI model outputs and architectures. That's something Brussels should be looking at seriously.
Staying with Anthropic, they've just locked in multiple gigawatts of TPU capacity through an expanded deal with Google and Broadcom. New data centers coming online around 2027.
Multiple gigawatts. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the power consumption of a mid-sized European city, just for running AI models.
And Anthropic's own language around this is telling. They're talking about insane AI demand by 2027. They clearly believe the compute requirements for next-generation AI are going to be staggering, and they're locking in capacity now before it gets even scarcer.
This underscores something we keep coming back to on this show. You can have the best AI researchers in the world, but without the computing power to train and run models, you're stuck. Infrastructure is destiny in the AI era.
For Europe, this is a warning signal. While American companies are locking in gigawatts of capacity years in advance, European AI efforts are still scrambling for computing resources. Recent moves like Deutsche Telekom's deal with NVIDIA and new Mistral funding are positive, but the scale gap is enormous. Europe needs to accelerate its sovereign compute build-out or risk being permanently dependent on American infrastructure for its AI ambitions.
Okay, next up. Intel has officially joined Elon Musk's Terafab project. This is that massive AI chip complex designed to build custom processors for SpaceX, xAI, and Tesla.
And this is a big deal for Intel specifically. They've been struggling to find their footing in the AI chip market where NVIDIA dominates. Partnering with Musk gives them a guaranteed customer and a high-profile project to prove their manufacturing capabilities.
Musk's vision here is ambitious. He doesn't want off-the-shelf chips. He wants processors designed specifically for his company's needs. Robotics, data centers, satellite systems. And Intel gets to be the company that makes them.
The market clearly liked it. Intel's shares jumped on the news, and it signals a broader trend. The biggest AI players are moving away from general-purpose chips toward custom silicon optimized for their specific workloads.
For Europe, this reshuffles the deck again. The European Chips Act was designed to build semiconductor sovereignty, but projects like Terafab showed just how fast the frontier is moving. Europe isn't just competing to build chips, it's competing to build the right chips for the AI era. And partnerships like Intel-Musk raise the bar for what European chip initiatives need to deliver.
If European chipmakers can't offer custom AI silicon at scale, they risk being irrelevant in the most important technology market of the decade.
Last one for today. Cisco has released its annual State of Industrial AI report, and the headline number is striking. 2/3 of industrial organizations are now deploying AI in live operations.
Factories, power plants, transportation networks. AI is already there, and it's delivering real results in process automation and predictive maintenance. But here's the catch. The networks and security systems underneath aren't ready.
Which makes sense when you think about it. Industrial systems were designed decades ago. They weren't built to handle the data flows and connectivity that AI requires. And the cybersecurity gaps are genuinely concerning. We're talking about systems that control physical infrastructure.
If an AI system managing a power grid gets compromised because the underlying network wasn't secure, the consequences are vastly more serious than a data breach at an online retailer. We're talking about physical safety.
European manufacturing is a global leader. German auto plants, Dutch logistics, Scandinavian energy systems. These industries are adopting AI aggressively. But Cisco's findings suggest they need to invest just as aggressively in the network and security infrastructure to support it. Without that, scaling AI in industrial settings becomes genuinely dangerous.
And there's a workforce angle too. Europe needs people who understand both operational technology and cybersecurity. That intersection of skills is incredibly rare right now, and training programs need to catch up fast.
So that's our show for today. We covered Anthropic's Project Glasswing cybersecurity initiative, OpenAI and Google's new AI creation tools, U.S. tech giants teaming up against Chinese IP theft, Anthropic's massive compute deal, Intel joining Musk's Terafab chip project, and Cisco's industrial AI adoption report.
Want to know more or react? Visit stateoftech.eu or email us at info@doorzetters.net. State of Tech. The tech world in 15 minutes.